All right, let's continue on this topic now and speak to Donovan E Williams, social commentator and at Mail and Guardian op-ed columnist. Donovan, a very good afternoon. Always a pleasure speaking to you. So, in the last few hours, since the U.S. Strikes on Venezuela, President Trump announced the U.S. will run Venezuela temporarily, triggering this global condemnation that we've seen, even getting a response from a South African government too. And now there's this scheduled UN Security Council emergency session that's expected to happen tomorrow. We know that there's a long history of U.S. intervention across Latin America. Help us unpack what has been happening in the last few hours so far.
Yes, it's quite a lot to not just unpack, but to absorb.
Yeah.
As you put that in inverted commas, Trump essentially said, the United States president said, we will run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So not even, you're still pre-transition. And then he links that they're going to sort out the oil industry and, do the infrastructure for that before you can even do the transition. And they will choose who should be in charge of Venezuela. So this is colonialism, right, in 2025. In reality, though, this is a mess. And it's not a mess in Venezuela. It's a mess created by the United States, and they need to sort it out. The president of the United States is a rogue president. Clearly. We've had Jamal Bowie from the New York Times, an opinion columnist in the New York Times, call it out that this was illegal in terms of U.S. law for that matter. You cannot invade and do a military operation like what he did with troops on the ground without Congress approval, which he did. It is illegal. And so therefore, the United States, both Congress and Senate, need to sort it, and the judiciary, the Supreme Court, need to sort it out because they have created this problem called President Trump, who is now a rogue president. In reality, he's a threat to the world. As much as that Security Council meeting is supposed to take place, the Security Council, the most they can do is condemn, knowing that there's a veto. There could be condemnation from South Africa and various countries around the world. But in reality, the United States need to sort out their mess. They're an adult, they're not a child. Parents sort out their children's mess, and they need to sort out their mess, and their mess is President Trump. He is a rogue president.
Absolutely. So Venezuela's Supreme Court has ordered Vice President Delcy Rodríguez to become acting president. You've just also spoken about what is likely to happen at the Security Council. But what are the legal consequences of President Trump's actions, given the fact that already we've been told about breaking a number of international laws?
Yeah. Firstly, the Western world, led by the US, and even you had a really, a mediocre statement by the United Kingdom's Prime Minister Keir Starmer, where without any proof or evidence, pointing out that apparently, President Maduro is an illegitimate president. It's a corrupt country and a corrupt administration, in somehow justifying what the United States president has done without the necessary approval. So you have a matter where the Venezuelans are actually following the rule of law. They've had a court say, given what has occurred, Delcy Rodríguez, the vice president, will be the acting president and so forth. So they're actually following the law. Whereas the Western world is coming up with all, including these Republican congresspersons and so forth, coming up with all types of justifications for an illegal act done by their president of the United States. This is incorrect. And therefore, the Security Council will condemn, countries will condemn, but what more can they do? Because your real implication here, when you have a nuclear wielding power like the United States and they decide to break any laws and laws don't matter, what do you do as the world? What can we do? Can anybody attack the United States? Will that help? Should we also employ the same tactics of Trump? But then you're making the world the Wild West, where the law doesn't matter, but you do what you want to do when you want to do it. It doesn't work like that. And that's the implication. That's the precedent that Trump has set. He has basically stated that if you break a law of the United States and you are not a citizen of the United States and you're in another country, the United States can abduct you and ask you to face charges in the United States. I mean, that's unheard of. We have laws in this country that may not be different to the United States. Does it mean that they can come and snatch you and ask you to face charges in the United States? These are the implications. It's not just about international law. He has created a lawless world where the powerful decide when and what they must do. And I also want to add on the oil matters, and I think Sorin Paella had raised this, and I won't want to repeat what he said. But all those refineries, the majority of refineries, all those 28 refineries that he spoke about in the United States, they are set up and established to refine oil that's Venezuelan oil, that's thick crude oil. The other oil that you get from Saudi Arabia and so forth, and even Brent crude, is not the thick oil. They are light, sweet, medium density of oil. But the oil from Venezuela is set up for those refineries. And this is partly why they covet that oil of Venezuela so much. So there are so many colonial and imperialist things being done by the United States. And it is disappointing that the Western world, who claim to be the custodians of democracy, are so quiet. This cannot be, they cannot be this quiet. And I will include China and Russia as well. I think their statements have not been strong enough at all.
Yeah. And I mean, the various analysts that we've spoken to have even cautioned that this will give them that authority and power in terms of, other countries now seeking dominance over other, authorities or other states. But I want to just speak, if I can, very quickly about the people in Venezuela. What do you think the sentiment on the ground is? I mean, we've heard from people saying that, the only good thing that Trump has really done is arrest Maduro, those that obviously don't believe in his presidency and his rule, in fact, going as far as calling him a dictator. But on the other hand, there is this level of angst and uncertainty in terms of what next.
I have actually been in contact with friends in Venezuela. I visited Venezuela twice last year, in January and in about June, July. So I have friends in Venezuela. They're not officials, they are ordinary people. And I've been in contact with them during this time. Some in Caracas and some in the south, so in the villages and so forth. They are Firstly, you do have people in Caracas, mainly opposition supporters, who are the ones who are celebrating, like we would have in South Africa. If something happens to political leadership that you don't support, there will be those that will be celebrating it. So you do have that. But the overwhelming majority of the people, once the attack occurred, they have gone into defensive mode. They are basically got emergency numbers, and they are ready to support and defend their government. And they are also very sad. President Maduro has been made into a Nelson Mandela right now in Venezuela. Understand that when Nelson Mandela was arrested in the Rivonia trial and was put into prison, the apartheid government created a Mandela. Maduro has been created to become that in Venezuela right now. As much as all the others will say that he's corrupt and so forth, which they haven't been able to prove, it seems that you're corrupt when you do not give Western businesses dominance in your country. Excuse me there. Then you create these accusations without any evidence. The simple point of the matter is that Venezuelans, ordinary Venezuelans, working class Venezuelans, poor Venezuelans, those who belong to the LGBTQI plus community Venezuelans, those who are religious as well, all of them are sad about Maduro. They want Maduro back, but also they are ready to defend their country. Their country, and they will talk about it in terms of a revolution, but their country, because they do not want to become a satellite country of the United States. That will hurt their pride. And even those who may be supporting the opposition, in time, they will realize that this year is colonization. How long the pre-transition is going to take place will hurt.
Absolutely. Donovan, thank you so much for your insights and your time here on the show. Really do appreciate it. Donovan E Williams is a social commentator as well as a Mail and Guardian op-ed columnist.